Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday's live stream. If you're new here, I live stream every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and then Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so I'm here to answer your questions about mental health, personality disorders, relationships. And today, hey, Bob, what's up? How are you? Today, we're going to do something. I talk about prosperity consciousness, self-concept a lot. It's interwoven throughout a lot of things, but we're going to also really talk about it today because today is July 29th. If you know about astrology at all, there's like what's called a Jupiter Cassimi. And so there's just a higher amplitude of like prosperity and money consciousness. And if you don't believe in that, I'm great. I'm doing great. Feeling good. Feeling very productive and prosperous. First of all, okay, the moon, as we know, controls the tides of the ocean. And we are, what are we, like 90% water? So astrology does affect us, but every powerful person, I was just listening to a TikTok about like President Reagan had an in-house astrologer and didn't do anything, especially after that assassination attempt on him. Like after that, he used the astrologer all the time. I guess the astrologer warned him about that. And so after that, like he didn't make any big decisions without the astrologer, but every person, I can't remember if it was like Rockefeller or Henry Ford or someone, he's like, millionaires don't believe in astrology, billionaires do. So it really is a thing, but it's always a good day to talk about prosperity consciousness. So we're going to do that and answer your questions as well. But I did want to definitely get into that for sure. Let me pull up the live stream on my phone so I could see what questions or comments you guys have and the ones Bob has filtered out. Thank you, Bob, for holding it down. Let me see. Let me see. All right. So I'm just going to jump right into prosperity consciousness. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. And as everything like that I talk about, like I talk about it from an intersect of psychology, quantum physics, and even when I say quantum physics, it's like Neville Goddard's work, but he uses a lot of psychology. But there is that quantum physics piece, and it's like how your nervous system, like your internal world, your internal world will create your outer world. It's your nervous system. Your nervous system and your brain are electromagnetic frequencies. They're real things. You could, your heartbeat. It's doing the same thing. Your nervous system is doing the same thing. And when your heartbeat is dysregulated, it throws off other things. It could throw off things mentally. Well, actually, so a lot of times we have stress, then our heart rate is affected and our nervous system is affected. So it's really, really important when you are manifesting anything in your life to regulate your nervous system. You want to come from a regulated nervous system. A lot of people, their biggest mistake is they're like, yes, I want this. I want that relationship. Or yes, I have this, or saying mantras or whatever, but their nervous system is completely telling a different story. And they're like, no, or it's always been this way. So what you get to do is first you have to think about, okay, what is it that you want? And since we're talking about money, think about the amount that you want in your bank account, whatever that is. And then what does it feel like to continuously have? And when I do this with my clients, I typically tell them, what do you want in your bank account? Okay, now double or triple that. Because a lot of times, most of the time, we don't ask for enough. We're like, oh, we're in scarcity. Even when we started that base part of the manifestation, we're in scarcity. So double or even triple what you want and feel into that. Let it be easy. And let it nervous system. You don't have to like comment on every little thing. I don't know if that's like spammy or whatever. But anyway, so you want to think about what you want. And it's like Neville Goddard talks about this, and it's like, just ask for more. Ask for more than enough, because if we're in prosperity and abundance, it's abundant, it's more than enough, and it's always there, and it's this very peaceful state. And then we want to associate that with a state of peace. So yeah, your knee-jerk reaction might be, the inner critic might come up and be like, that's impossible, we've never had that before. Yeah, the inner critic only knows about the past. So remember, tell the inner critic, this has nothing to do with you. You only know about the past, and we're leaving the past behind. Every moment that you exist, you're literally created anew every breath you take. So I don't care what your relationship with money was in the past, let it go and decide right now, I'm living from a state of prosperity consciousness, of financial abundance that's easy and like happy and full of joy. And it just gets everything else. That's just my past. And I don't identify with that anymore. Now I identify as someone that is a multimillionaire and money comes to me easily. And it doesn't have to be like, I have to grind, blah, blah, blah. That's another thing that I feel like we've been brainwashed to believe, is that, yeah, you got to grind and suffer and sacrifice it. No, I mean, if you want to, yeah. And there might be times that like things are uncomfortable, but that doesn't always have to be the case. And then again, this is where the self-concept work comes in. So it's normal for you to have that amount of money consistently, not this like big like burst and then it does it. No, it's just like you consistently have this amount of money. That's your new identity, and that's normal for you. And when you're starting to imagine this and manifest it, so like visualize it in your nervous system and how it feels. Maybe at first you're like surprised and you're like overjoyed and everything. And then you move into like, yes, this is normal for me. This is my new life, that this amount of money that continuously comes in affords me. So that is the identity shift that we're making. But you really have to get it into your nervous system. That's why Neville Goddard and a lot of people that really understand manifestation from like a neuroscience and psychology point of view tell you, you have to think of it from a calm, this is your new normal. Just like when you have malignant things, you're like, well, all men are this way, all women are this way. And then life keeps showing you that. And, or like, I'll never get over them. Well, then you'll never get over them. So whatever story you're telling yourself and you think is normal is what shows up in your reality. And if you're wondering what unconscious beliefs you have, look what's going on in your reality. Whether you like it or you don't and you want to change it, they're all unconscious beliefs about your health, wealth, relationships, your relationship with yourself, your career, your financial status right now. Like it's all a reflection of what you consciously and subconsciously believe. And you don't have to do all this hard work to get into your subconscious. It's showing your 3D reality right now is showing you your past conceptions of things. And without judgment, this is where people get like really anxious and they're like, oh my God, my brain is fucking, no, your brain isn't doing any, you could change your brain like that. Just notice and be like, oh, okay. And since we're talking about money, oh, I want more money in my bank account. Okay, so let me not worry about the how and how it's going to happen. Let me just visualize that and feel what that's like. You have to start there, because if you get worried about the how, that's a state of lack and that state of chasing and desperation, which repels what you want. So we have to start with, oh, I already have that in my bank account. And what happens is God, your higher power, whatever you call that, universe, fills in the gap. And you've had this happen before where you're just thinking about something and you're like, oh, all of a sudden that happened. I was just talking to a client who we were talking about manifestation, and he was like, yeah, I just always wanted to meet Usher. Like, how am I going to meet Usher? I don't know. But he was just like, he just would always think about it. And then randomly, he's at his friend's birthday party at a club, and who's standing like almost arm's distance away from him? Usher. And he got to meet Usher, not only meet him, hang out and party with him and some of his family members that were around. That is how manifestation works. You put it in your mind, you feel into what it would be like, and then you just like let it go. And then I promise you it will circle back into your life. So let me know if you have any questions about any of that. Because I mean, I love talking about it. Hi, Avian. Hi, Miss Priya. Wait, let me go back here so I can. Hi, James. How are you? Hi, Demas. Go back. Yeah, Sunday was tame. Let's see. I just want a nice house in the woods and some chickens. Oh my God, I want chickens too. And you could have that. You could have your chickens. Like that is, we can't just, the only thing is whatever you desire, you get to put it like in the this is normal for me. If we put something on a pedestal, you're consciously and subconsciously and like on a nervous system level saying, oh, that's out of reach, it's not here. Imagine yourself, Neville Goddard has a lot of examples of this in his work about like people wanting certain houses or certain places to live that seemed like so out of reach, like financially, like, and he talks about his clients, he does client stories about this. And he always gives them the same advice: feel into it. So you're in your house. First of all, you're walking around looking, playing with your chickens, collecting eggs. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? How does the weather feel? Is like, feel the wind on your skin. What time of year is it? Everything. When you go inside, how does it look? When you go to bed, how does that feel? Or like, you know, what are you and your girlfriend doing? Like in the house and all of the things. Is the more you feel into it as often as possible, like it will come into your reality. And then Bob, you're saying, I will have my chickens. How about you have them? I have my chickens. I have my chickens. I live in that house. So that is your identity. I have this house in the woods, and that is, I live, like, I'll give you a really good example. So, and this is from Neville Goddard. He had a client that was in the military and he wanted to be honorably discharged and be back at his place in New York. And so he wrote in the petition and it came back within a couple hours. They're like, nope. And he's like, okay. And he went to bed every night and thinking about like waking up or going to bed at in his place. Like, I'm in New York. I'm in my place in New York. I'm falling asleep. And then he'd wake up, which are the two best times when you fall asleep and when you wake up, because your brain is in a theta state. So when your brain's in a theta state, it's more suggestible to receiving information as true, even if it's not. So he went to bed every night, woke up every morning. It's like, I'm in my place in New York. So happy to be here. And throughout the day as much as possible. And then out of nowhere, the guy, whatever the person was in charge in terms of whatever ranking he was in the army, was like, do you really want to be discharged? And he was like, yes, I do. And so he's like, well, I disagree, but come into my office. And he's like, here, I'm granting you it. And then didn't ask why or anything, and then was back in his place within a matter of days. And but people have manifested houses that like financially they didn't have the money for it, and the gap closed because all they did was feel into it, think about it, and feel like they already had it. And then the universe or your higher power, like whatever you call it, like did the work to fill in the gap, and they got it. The same with money. There's so many examples of money, like people like desperately needing like what would be the equivalent of $30,000, $40,000 today. And then it just showed up out of nowhere because they put themselves in that state of consciousness. So it's not, we don't ever, when we're manifesting things, we don't want to say we will have one day. It's I am. That's why I am is one of the most powerful statements in the world. Like and like it's in the Bible, or there's instructions like, please identify as I am. And an I am in the Bible is like letting you know that you have God consciousness within you. Like, I am that I am, as above, so below. And, and that's also like part of like what the cross means, as above, so below. And then I forget what these, like the right and the left, and it's all coming towards the center of you. You have God consciousness running through you. And I really know that, again, like very, like the most powerful people in the world know this, and they want to keep this away from us. That's why billionaires know about astrology and manifestation, but they want everyone else to think it's silly, or so they can control us. Oh, your mind doesn't know your mind. And think about that. Think about how like it brings me so much joy and I feel so much freedom when I know that I could literally create my reality with my thoughts and my nervous system. So I think a thought, and then I put the feeling behind it. That gives it the ammunition, right? So like I tell you guys before, like if someone's like, oh yeah, you're a fat, I don't know, redheaded, that's super short. That's like the opposite of what I am. So I'm like, that thought doesn't do anything for me, right? But if I'm like, if it's something I have a fear around, then I'm giving that energy through my emotions. So if you want something, you have to think about the thought without worrying about the how. because you're entering a new level of consciousness. You're entering a new reality. You're not going to know the how. So you think about it and feel into it, and as if you already have it, and you start to identify with it. And I promise your life will change in some amazing ways. Okay. Hi, Miss Priya. New job is going well. No, I love it. Congratulations, Avian. Yes, that is awesome. Everything's working out for you, Avian, and everyone else watching. Everything is working out for you. Everything is working in your favor all the time. Universe, God is on your side. Okay. Yes, Miss Priya. Let me catch up with the comments, and then I'm going to get to your question about body language. I'm also trying to go to school to further my education. I have a bachelor's degree, and I'm trying to get my PhD or certification. I love that for occupational therapy. Hell yeah, you are going to do that. It is happening, and it'll all come together. And you know what? When I have clients that have this goal, I just put it out there that how about your job? Because this happens. What if your job helps you and helps pay for your education? That happens a lot. I don't know what type of job that you have, but just put it out there, put the vibe out there. Like, not only Avian, like, I start to identify, I'm in school, I have this great job that I like, and I'm in school fulfilling my goal, my educational goal, and my job is paying for it. Isn't that so nice? Gosh, I'm the luckiest girl in the world that that's all being paid for. And then I get to have this nice job, and I get to work. I get to go to school, and my job's paying for it. Wow, yay. But that is happening for you, Avian. Bob, that's a great plan, Avian. Good career path too. I imagine pretty rewarding. Yeah. I'm currently 27, Avian says, and I have been working for years, and I'm trying to get my foot into the right job relating exactly to what I do for school. Yes. Since 2020, it's been frustrated due to COVID. Okay. So here's another good way to let's do another self-concept and perspective shift. It's not. Just say it's not. It's not. You know, maybe it was in the past. I don't know. We're not going to give the old story energy. So now it's easy, and it doesn't matter whatever's going on in the world or the economy. Things work out for you. Things work out for you, Avian. They just do. It doesn't matter. Like, things just fall into place for you. Like, for no reason, just because you want it. Again, let me go back to my Kim Kardashian example. She wanted to be on the cover of Vogue. Vogue is for very tall, very thin models, okay? And Kim Kardashian is the opposite of that, okay? So, but she's been on Vogue, I think 20 times now, because she wanted to, just because she wanted to. So, and the chances of that happening before that were slim, but that's what she wanted, so that's what she got. So it's kind of like, when you are manifesting and you have all these like naysayers, or your inner critic is doing, or it's frustrating because of COVID, be like, not for me, not for me. Things just fall into place for me. So maybe for everyone else, or maybe in the past, but everything falls into place for me now. Okay, so let's come from that perspective, and I promise it will get easier. Avian, I graduated from Arizona State University in December of 2020 and got my bachelor's. Nice. In health sciences. That's awesome. My new job does provide great benefits, and they offer tuition see what I'm saying? And they offer tuition reimbursement. Love that. After a full year of working, a year will fly by. That's awesome. After a year of working full time, I will be eligible for tuition reimbursement and utilize it for school. Hell yeah. It's happening. Everything's falling into place for you, Evan. And everyone watching, everything is falling into place for you. Okay. Let me go to Miss Priya's question. Okay, because I got some stuff to say about it. So let me pull up the exact question. So first, I want to say that you said you were busy implementing what what you've learned from this show in real world over the weekend with your boundaries and JADE. So if you don't know what JADE is with toxic people that are trying to push your boundaries, not being respectful, and just constantly want to fight. Like some people are addicted to drama, or just you need to have boundaries with someone. You don't go into JADE, which stands for justify, argue, defend yourself, or explain yourself, or even engage. The last part of JADE is you finally just stop engaging with them, right? So if you are practicing JADE, then this question that you have, my question for next time is nonverbal or body language cues that narcissists and controlling people try to use to target you. Why do we care? I mean, I'm going to answer it, but the first thing I want you to ask yourself is why? Like, I want to hear more questions about you and your self-improvement. Why are we still focused on the narcissists and toxic people? Why are we giving them energy mentally or like physically? Why? That's just one thing to think about. Like, why the hyperfixation on them? Why are we dealing with them still? And do they see you are physically responding a certain way and it shows they can control you more? Okay, so again, the first thing is I want you, anytime something pops up with any kind of question about a narcissist, you are getting a toxic person out of your nervous system. So maybe you stopped contact, maybe you're going through a bad breakup and you keep thinking about them. Question that. Don't just let your mind run, because when we do that, they're living in our head rent free. And just by thinking about it, by perseverating and like thinking about it constantly, we are giving them our energy. When they're, we're just sitting alone and we're worried about their body language. Why? So I'm just saying, stop yourself when that happens. And I would say, especially with a breakup, or especially like with a parent, that it's just so hard sometimes because it's like they do the weird family type of thing and you might have pressure from other people. Stop yourself. Notice what's going on and then be like, okay, is this healthy? Is this a healthy use of my energy and my thoughts and my precious time? What can I be doing with my energy instead of thinking about them or their next move or their body language? It's really important to question yourself, because that is a huge part of the healing process. I don't even fucking think about narcissists anymore unless I'm helping other people. I don't give a fuck. Like, and the thing is like, when those people are still sick and they're obsessed with me, and I think a lot of them have fake Instagram accounts or whatever, just so they could comment some bullshit. And I'm like, okay, thanks for helping my views. Like, I don't give a fuck about you, but you still give a fuck about me, because unhealed people continuously obsess about other people they want to control, or the thing that they haven't healed from. Okay, so that's my spiel on that. But in terms of the body language piece, there's two pieces to that. So with all of these toxic personalities, do they have a, like, not universal, but like body language things in common? The first thing is, when you start to heal, your nervous system will come online even more, and you'll start to trust your nervous system, because these people have a vibe to them. And they do, like, first of all, they, you've heard the term, they suck the life out of the room. Like, they just do, like, when they enter the room, it's like they just need your attention, especially with narcissists. And it's like, okay, no one else exists except you, but your nervous system feels it. So before any gestures or anything, because a lot of them, especially in the love bombing phases, or when they're trying to charm and pull you in, they'll do things that your ego might like, but you will feel a certain way on a nervous system level, and you'll feel an exaggerated sense of liking them when you shouldn't. You're like, you don't even fucking know this person. Like, why am I feeling this way? Why are they drawing me in? They're really extra charismatic, or they'll creep you out, and the more you heal, the more they will just instantly creep you out, even when they're trying to do all the, like, oh, you're so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. I remember when I really did a lot of work on healing, and like this narcissist was like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're so, and I was just like, I know, right? And that is something, I don't talk like that. I was just like, yeah, I mean, facts. Like, I just was not swayed. And I was like getting that icky feeling in my stomach and wanted to leave, because I just, I healed away from that. So notice how you internally feel first, because that will be the first thing above anything. And the other thing is that these toxic personalities, they like to mirror you, because when someone mirrors us, we feel safe. They're like, oh, they're like me. So if someone's trying to do that to me and they notice that I'm doing this with my hand gestures, they're going to mirror that back. And it's like, oh my God, we both use our hands a lot. Blah, blah, blah. So if they're mirroring you a lot. Also with narcissist, it's that feeling of they have to take up all of the room, the space. And if they're not getting the attention, then they'll start rolling their eyes, or they'll like walk away or do something like this. I talk about this a lot because it's a good example of narcissists getting pissed when they don't have the attention. And I also fucking hate this guy, but the comedian Andy Dick. So I'm dating, this is a while ago, but I was dating this guy that was, let's just say he's a comedian. He's like in the entertainment. So we had to go to Andy Dick's freaking birthday party. And so I don't know, just like walking around saying hi to people. And people were like, oh my gosh, are you a model? Are you this? I'm like, no, I'm not anything in entertainment, blah, blah, blah. And then he calls me the N-word. And he goes, nit, nit, nit. And then he's like, eh. I don't want to say it because I don't want it to be flagged on here. But he was just like, bigger. Like he kept saying that to me, and everyone's like, oh, Andy, you're such a dick. And he's like, okay, pretty little bigger. Like, right. Because he couldn't stand that, it wasn't like a huge party. It was kind of like this, like, he lived in Topanga Canyon, which is like kind of more hippie and stuff. So they'll do stuff like that. They just get so envious of any type of attention that's not completely on them. Now, borderline people, you see it more when their nervous system is stressed, which happens easily, and they'll repeat themselves. They'll get really upset and emotional. They could start pacing around a lot, and you're like, where are you going? I've heard a lot of my clients that have dealt with borderline people say that borderlines have like borderline eyes, like that type of thing. And I think it's more of like a panic. Like I've never really noticed like a borderline eye type of thing, but I have heard clients say that to me, like when they're helping, like when they're trying to understand what happened and they're breaking up with a borderline, they're like, yeah, these eyes would come out, and I knew that they were like shifting. Now borderline people shift emotional states a lot, so you can notice that they'll go from one state to another pretty quickly, and you'll notice like the transition a little bit. But I've noticed more like eye things with narcissists, and I do believe this is like a spiritual kind of thing, but like I do believe that narcissists, especially, they're so attached to the lower states of consciousness, all of the fear-based things, and fear-based energy is different than energy that's coming from love and peace and joy and authenticity. And so, which is like God consciousness and Christ consciousness. We know that, right? Or that's what it's called, or whatever your religion is. Now, with lower states of consciousness, sometimes we call it like demonic and stuff, and just evil or whatever that things. And they look that way to me, and I am like, if you know anything about auras, like sometimes I could see that on people. And so, but like their face, like I'll be looking at them and their face like changes. This is going to sound weird, but it's just like I'm highly intuitive, but they look, when people are very narcissistic or sociopathic, they look demonic to me. And I don't know how else to describe that, but the more you heal and get in touch with that, you'll just know by looking at, and like I've said this about celebrity. I said this about Ellen DeGeneres a long time ago, and people were like, oh my God. So when she was like doing her be kind to each other thing, I'm like, there's something demonic about this woman. And then all that stuff came out, about how poorly she treated all of her employees, and how she's a huge narcissist, and I also knew that because I briefly went on a couple dates with this guy that I don't even want to say how, but like dealt with her directly often, very often. and she was such a bitch to everyone. So like just would gaslight, do all the narcissistic stuff, but like even just being mean to people that were help running her. It has something to do with like an asset that she owned. So, but, and I'm like, see, I know what she's demonic, but like, there's just something that you can tell. So, but yeah, so there's no like clear, like every narcissist and, you know, does these things, and you shouldn't even be worried about that. But there are some things that those are some kind of like common things to answer your question. Okay, let me get back to let's see. Yeah, it was a very racist thing to say. It wasn't just crazy. It was like I mean, just like full on, like in front of everyone. And like, I don't know what he was thinking. Like, did he think everyone else at the party would be like, yeah, she's a bigger, like I mean, he was just so upset that I was getting attention. It was disgusting. And I have no respect for him. And I really never thought he was funny, my personal opinion. Image says, is not much about attentions. It's more about interactive or not. In the interactive media, this is less professional. So usually those who choose profession. Okay. Hi, Joe. Okay. Here's my thing to answer your question, brother, about 4 types of narcissists. Really, there's 2. And like this whole thing about a communal narcissist is basically a covert narcissist. There's overt narcissist, which is the typical narcissist, like the Donald Trumps of the world that have the big ego and will go back on their word and gaslight and all these things. And then there's the covert narcissist, which some people call a communal narcissist, or there's some other fucking dumb term for it. But I honestly think that those terms were made up. They're not real terms, by the way, but they're terms made up so certain people on YouTube could get more views and make people scared. I don't like when people create content about narcissists or personality disorders to have their viewer be like in a more obsessive state about them. Like, oh, are they a communal narcissist? Are they a covert narcissist? Who fucking cares? I care about you healing from this. I care about you breaking the pattern that's in your nervous system that's probably from trauma, so you never attract people like this. So you have the best relationships and you have the best health, wealth, career, spiritual relationship with God or whatever you call it. That's what I want. I don't want you obsessing for years watching YouTube videos about if someone's a communal narcissist or not. So the covert narcissist comes off as like so nice and has a lot of superficial friends and usually does love bombing by being so overly generous that you're like, oh my God, they're the best person. They're just so generous. And they have a victim story. So a lot of them will be like, yeah, this person did me wrong, but I survive. I persevere. And so you're like, oh my God, that's so terrible. And that's why I'm always like warning you, if you are dating someone and they have this whole they're like over identifying with this victim story about a narcissist, like, oh, my ex-wife, watch out for that. I mean, we all have exes and some of them really did us dirty, but why are you over identified with this victim story? So they usually do that, but they do the same thing. The underlying patterns are the same. And if you get too close to one, they push you away, whether they're overt or covert. They just initially present a little differently, but there's only overt and covert narcissists. And, you know, and I only tell you guys that because when you're dealing with these people, it's so confusing at first. So I'm just trying to illuminate and like bring clarity to what has happened for you. But beyond that, I want you to focus on you and your healing. Let me see. Hi, Joe. Yeah, borderline eyes is totally a thing. I mean, yeah, some people, like I'm telling you, I have so many people in my private practice that are like, those eyes are scary. I guess I've never noticed it on a borderline. I mean, when I worked in a psych ward, I would see like I change that, with kids. I worked in a psych ward with like kids like from 10 to 14, and like their eyes would get, and it was like they were changing modes type of thing. They would stop and then they would change modes and like start, I don't know, like one of them pulled the curtain rod and actually hit me really hard. I had a bruise on my hip for a while. Then they got 5150, like tasered and like hogtied and 5150. That was fun. But yeah. I mean, especially if you have a personal relationship with them, you would probably know the borderline eyes thing. Brother, when introvert wants overtones, delusional. Okay, don't know what that means. Freshman, so why should I invest in a relationship to find out? You shouldn't invest in a relationship if you want a relationship. I always start with invest in the relationship with yourself first. Otherwise, all relationships are just a mirror of you. So if you have some shit you need to work on, it will be reflected in your relationships. Hi, Bones. How are you? Pub, what's going on, brother? I love when you guys talk to each other. Brother, like to ask one more question besides if you're around a narcissist, run. I mean, I want you guys to live a life where your relationships aren't toxic. And we also don't want to give narcissist energy. They're energy vampires, one. And so they thrive off of your energy. What you don't understand is that narcissists need you so much more than you need them. This is the thing that it even fucks with people that are narcissistic, because what they do is totally devalue you. Like, I don't need you, you're a piece of shit. And they're only doing that because that's a projection of how they feel inside. But they need you to project all of their icky feelings on, all of their guilt and shame. They need that to barf it onto you because they refuse to metabolize it. They refuse to look at themselves. They refuse to take any accountability for their behavior. So they need you to project it on. And they also need you in the idealization / love bombing phase. If they don't have you to get all the praise and admiration and for you to put them on a pedestal, then they're going to crumble. That's why I'm saying at the end of the day, leave these fuckers alone. Okay, you have the power more than you realize. And a lot of times you've been so beaten down and so brainwashed by them to think the opposite of yourself. And so what do? You're like, okay, you start gaslighting and breadcrumbing yourself. And you're like, well, I guess I should just settle for this. Or the other thing that you do is like, oh, I guess it was my fault that happened. And maybe if I behave differently. And so you keep yourself in this relationship where they're just continuing to drain energy from you, and energy financially, emotionally, mentally, physically. Another way that they drain energy physically, and sometimes I forget to talk about this, is they don't even let you sleep because they're so dysregulated that they don't sleep. And so they do things to keep you up a lot of times. And when you are sleep deprived, you're not thinking rationally and you're easier to manipulate and control. Okay, so they need you. That's why they're always trying to control you. That's why narcissists are so controlling, because they don't want you to leave them. They're deathly afraid of abandonment, because what does that mean? That means they have to take accountability for something and that they got rejected, and then they're not loved and praised and all these stupid, like exaggerated things that they try to tell themselves that aren't true. They're not amazing because you left, even though they're trying to pretend like they're amazing. Well, they can't be if you left them. So that's why they hate rejection, and they'll stalk you, and they'll really try to control you as much as they can in the relationship and do everything they can to try to get you back. They will straight up marry someone else, have kids with them and everything, but still want you and still want to control and still stalk your social, so don't even think it's because they moved on that means anything. So all I'm saying is like, please come from an empowered place. Please call all of your energy back to you. Realize you're the one with the power, and stop giving your energy and power to these people. Okay? You deserve way better. You deserve relationships, whatever type of relationship it is, work, family, friends. You deserve relationships where you are supported, loved, seen, and heard, and you could be yourself, not something like that. Okay? Okay, boo. Um, that narcissist has 3 different lives, one in public. Narcissist has 3 different lives, one in public, one with their mate, one that's hidden from their mate, and one that's very dark, sinister. I mean, narcissists have a lot of different sides. So narcissists are the kindest and best to strangers. They're constantly getting new supply in that love bombing or idealization phase, as it's called in psychology. So the people that they're most shitty to are the people that are closest to them. And they are the best with people that they don't know, with strangers. And then they get all that idealization and praise from the strangers. But the closer you get to them, the more they treat you like shit, the more they devalue you, because now they're using you to, again, like I was just saying, dump all of their guilt and shame onto. And sometimes they get you in a position where they can control you. So there's like financial control, there's some type of physical, mental, it could be anything, or your self-esteem is so low that you just feel like you can't do any better because they brainwashed you to believe that, or they got you so addicted. And I really mean that. Like, it really forms an addiction in your brain. They got you so addicted to the idealization phase when they were love bombing you that you believed that that was the truth and this was the one, and like you fell in love with that person that actually didn't exist, but you fell in love with that person. And so you spend the rest of the relationship chasing that and trying to get it back and truly believing that you did something to fuck it up and make that person go away. But the truth is that person never really existed. It was manufactured. They were studying you and learning it. That's why I call them drug dealers. They were actually creating the drug. They're like, okay, she wants this. He wants marriage. He wants to be treated. And he has trauma from this. They became that person. You got addicted to that. And that's just showing you where you have an opportunity to heal. Okay, no judgment or anything. Like, I've been there, but it's showing you where you have an opportunity to heal because you were so desperate and longing for that. And that narcissist temporarily with this fake facade provided that. And so, yeah, they're showing you that, and they show the real side of you. And then they always have extra supply. So they're always having some type of affair. They're always having multiple, I've had clients where it's like, oh yeah, my husband had 2 other families, one in the middle of America, one on the East Coast, one here. I didn't even know. So yeah, that happens a lot. Why? Because they don't like they can't. Well, they can. They refuse to deal with real intimacy. So they'll be with one family, then get in an argument and be like, I'm leaving, and then go do their thing, or pretend like they have some job that takes them away from work because they can't handle real intimacy. Real intimacy has conflict resolution. So you deal with real shit that comes up. They don't want to do that. They want to keep everything on a superficial level. And so yeah, some of it's dark and sinister because they're very dark people. Narcissist and the personality disorders, they are operating from a low vibrational state, from the fear, from the guilt, shame, everything that has to do with fear, guilt, shame, doubt, self-loathing, grief, all of those things. Now, it's fine to experience those things, but to stay in that state and have that be your baseline state is a terrible place to be. You don't want to live in that type of state. Miss Priya, do narcissists pick up if you show weakness? Who cares? I don't know. Narcissists are always studying you to see what they can to understand, like, what your vulnerabilities are, what your desires are, to get what they want out of you. And in a sense, you could go deeper, like, aren't we always all observing each other? But who cares? Like, if you're around a narcissist, you know that, like, get away from them. Bob. Good bones. Enjoy your, yeah. Yes, you've earned your chill time. I like when Lauren cusses. Why do I get that feedback a lot? People like when I cuss, and then it's like, and then I'll get feedback like, you cuss too much. Like this woman on my TikTok, I should have screenshotted it. I have to find it, but she's like, you know what? goddess, I would repost this, but you are not in your feminine energy because you were cussing. I'm like, shut the fuck up, first of all. And yes, I am. I'm in my feminine energy more than you are, because feminine energy doesn't boss people around or judge, right? Like, I'm just being authentic. I'm being me. So thank you for that feedback. Lee, yeah, for sure. Psychopathy, sorry. Psychopath can transition into being a for sure. When he got less attention, he got more sociopath for sure. Saying digger or whatever. Oh yeah. So sociopath, what sociopath is actually called antisocial personality disorder. So, and that is, just think of it like narcissism on steroids, but they very much enjoy when people are in pain, they experience joy. And they have like absolutely no empathy, whereas narcissists can go back and forth, and there's like a lot of debate on that, but there's no empathy. If you really need someone to, do a hit job, it's not the psychopath. The psychopath, that's like a nervous system thing where the empathy centers aren't connected, but that doesn't make them evil, like do like torture, like get pleasure out of torturing people, like antisocial personality disorder, or what's often called the sociopath, or the sociopath. Psychopaths, there's actually a good book written by this. Psychopaths are around us all the time, and they're very normal people. They're really good pilots. They're excellent surgeons because they don't have that emotion behind things. So if you like, think about this, if you're getting a surgery, let's say you're getting open heart surgery, okay? And do you want a regular, like most of us neurotypical people, that had like your surgeon had a fucking horrible fight with his wife the night before, didn't get enough sleep because, like, it's just your emotions. Whereas a psychopath doesn't care. Okay, like that's why a lot of people that don't know that their partner is a psychopath, like they're like, oh my God, we have the best marriage, he's the best husband, because he just doesn't react to anything, because he doesn't really care. Like, he literally lacks those empathy centers. But they're really good. A lot of them are very smart, and they're very good at just being laser focused on what they're doing. So but that is very different than sociopath / antisocial behavior. People always get that wrong. Psychopaths, we want a psychopath. Like I've talked about this before. When I was looking for a surgeon for something, I was getting my tits done, whatever, that's what was happening. And I was like, I interviewed all of these surgeons, and I found one that was a psychopath. And then all these, he was smart about it though, because he knew that he lacked like certain like social things. And because I run very anxious about anything medical. And so he had all these like cute nurses around. They're like, oh, don't mind Dr. So-and-so's like bedside manner. I'm like, he's hired. I love this guy. Like, he's just like, here's what's happening. Like, it was just like, but he was so good at what he was doing. Like these princesses from like different countries were flying in to get surgery from him. I'm like, and it's because he's just a robot. Like, he comes off like a robot. And so sometimes it gets confused with like autism, and maybe there is like a cross section that we haven't discovered yet. But I'm telling you, I want a pilot. I want a surgeon, maybe even a lawyer. That's a psychopath. Like, cause they're just laser focused people. LOL, Lauren, hits different. Thanks guys. Autocorrect. Tony, I have PTSD from serving in AF. I'm in a dark place. Okay, what are you doing about that? I'm really well, first of all, thank you for your service, and I'm so glad that even you finding this live stream and saying that, I'm feeling like it's an indication to me that you don't want to be in that dark place anymore. And I mean that because like sometimes we can be in a depression, and we could get like addicted to those states, or feel like our self-esteem is so low that it's always going to be like this, or we don't deserve to get better. So Tony, congratulations that you want to be in a different place. So what are you doing? Are you working with anyone? I know that if you've served, you have access to certain services. I'm not saying that they're great, but I think it's a great place to start. Browse through my channel especially on the shorts. Like I do a lot of stuff about neurological reprogramming, but how are you taking care of yourself? Even like reading certain books. Are you doing nervous system regulation of any kind, breathing, yoga, meditation? And keep your meditation simple. But when you have PTSD, I feel like your primary focus needs to be on nervous system regulation and releasing the PTSD. And you might have CPTSD, complex PTSD, but I would definitely suggest working with someone and getting like really nitty gritty into that, and someone that could just constantly hear from you and be with you and help you, especially in the beginning stages. Brother, do you agree that they have yeah, they have a lot of lives, you know, like narcissists and borderline people. Like they'll have all these different types of relationships. They talk shit a lot. So they'll be like, oh my God, this is person so amazing. As soon as that person leaves, they're like, oh my God, they whatever, it's just so they do that all the time. They're constantly, and with borderline people, it's called like splitting. But yes, they do that. They have different lives. Bob, I've noticed it myself during a split, but maybe that's part of the dissociation slash identity stuff. Yeah, it is. Yeah, basically, like just what I was saying is like that is, and it's a way to the splitting for borderline people is a way to disassociate, right? Because you have such a borderline and narcissistic people, but borderline more have a really unstable identity. Narcissists also have an unstable identity, but it seems like there's a lot less awareness of it, because they're like, I'm so amazing, I'm great, but they're internal, they know that they're not. But borderline people are much more aware of how unstable their identity is. So yes, they often split. Was like, who the fuck am I looking at right now? Yeah, that's a real thing. Like, who am I is a real thing that especially borderline people have. And around a lot of parts of their identity, within relationships, with work, what they like, what they don't like. But as you heal, that gets more stable. Brother, excellent. Thank you. I gotta go. Thank you for stopping by. Bones, them toxic relationships are exhausting. It changes you for reals. It can, but here's the thing. I will stand on the hill that toxic relationships come into your life to teach you something that you've been unaware of, that will help you heal and could be the catalyst to the most evolved state that you have ever been, the most healed, the most prosperous. It could be the start to the best era of your life that just continues to get better and better and better. So yeah, we can stay in the identity of like, oh, that fucked me up. Or it's like, you know what? I'm going to learn from this so this never happens again. And that's really true with any rock bottom moment. Like, I'm fucking sick of drinking. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of living. I say I'm not living this way anymore. And that's why I was saying at the beginning of this thing in terms of prosperity consciousness and money manifesting, especially if you want to be at a new place financially, you get to claim that the past is the past. That old identity doesn't exist anymore. From this moment forward, I always have X whatever amount of dollars in my bank account. I am like a multimillionaire, whatever you want to be. I have an amazing house in the woods with a bunch of chickens, and it's a peaceful existence, whatever you want. And I just always, have more than enough resources to keep my farm and my house and everything going, right? And it's so important. I really think that money manifestation and prosperity consciousness is so important because money is an amplifier. Money makes you more of who you are. So if you have goals or whatever you want to do, you get to be a better version of yourself. Now, it also amplifies the shitty things too. And if you care about evolving and you care about constantly improving your life, then you look at that and deal with it. If you don't, then it'll blow up in your face. And so this is why a lot of lottery winners end up in the same place, because they haven't dealt with that mirror yet. And so a lot of money will show that mirror. And it's like, are you going to shift? Are you going to evolve? Are you going to heal? Or are you going to go right back to where you started? So also something to think about. Oh, you have a toxic relationship with the VA? Okay. Are there other resources? Who can you talk to? Because if you do, that's fine, but I really do want you to advocate for yourself and your healing. And there is a way. There's always a way. If you want something and you're ready to change, there's always a way to make that happen, Tony. Agreed. Toxic relationship. Yes. Hi, Rain. Bob, thanks for your service, Tony. Yes. I know. I hate that. I hate that I've heard not great things about like the VA, and like that is one of my things that I get to do and that I currently am doing as someone that has a large amount of money, like helping the VA improve itself. Bones. Bob, I had one of those moments. I looked in the mirror and was like, in the mirror, dude, and was like, who the fuck are you? I'm down with having the who the fuck are you moments. And I love mirror work, by the way, is great. Like do mirror work, like say affirmations, look yourself deep in your eyes and say whatever it is you want with an I am statement. Like I am powerful. I am the CEO of my business. I am financially stable, secure, and so successful. I am lovable. I am supported and taken care of in my relationships, whatever it is. But also, yeah, who the fuck are you? Ask yourself that. Look at yourself in the eyes and be like, yeah, who am I? And really ask yourself, journal about it. Because we want to evolve in consciousness. We don't want to be the same person we were 5-10 years ago. We want to keep evolving. It's necessary as supply because you're, yeah. It can be a freaky experience to be like, who am I? But it's so, I think moments like that are so important. And you will look back on it and be like, and I love having this experience with my clients where it's like, look at how far you've come. The person I'm talking to now would have responded differently 3 months ago, 6 months ago, definitely a year ago. That's wonderful that you've released, and it's not even who you really are, but your inner critic had a hold. Your inner critic is like fear and like past trauma and everything that you're holding on to is true. And you release the inner critic more and more. And then, you know, people that were toxic, it's like, you think about them now and you're like, I wouldn't even fucking deal with those people. Like, wow, how different am I? You know, I love when different narcissistic friends or exes, they'll like kind of try to circle back and like, oh yeah, like you still want me? I'm like, bitch, I am a very different person than when I met you or dated your ass. And I mean, if you're watching this, yes, I'm talking to you. Like I would never date an ex and under any circumstances or take back a narcissistic friend because I don't really believe that they've changed. And it's like, I wish you the best, but the version of me that existed to one, attract you into my reality, and two, date you and put up with the shit that I chose to put up with, that I allowed, doesn't exist anymore, you know? And even with some of them, like I was like, okay, we could be friends. I don't fucking want to be your friend. Okay. My friends are amazing and they work on themselves and my energy is precious, right? So it's like, I don't even have time to be friends with someone like you that doesn't care about evolving in any type of way and you're still doing the same old shit. Like, grow the fuck up. But still, I don't want to talk to you. And when you start to heal, I promise you will have the same experience. And you will have those moments, that mirror moment where you look at yourself like, who the fuck am I? And you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm this new version of myself. Or if you're into quantum physics, and if you're into quantum physics, you'll be on a new timeline and be like, fuck yeah, I fucking love this timeline. Look how healthy and wealthy and loved and supported I am. So we want to have those moments. They can be a little freaky, but embrace them because that means you're leveling up. And I'm excited for you. Bye, Bones. Thanks for stopping by. And Image, why knowing predators love victims say we deserve to be loved. Is not masochism unhealthy as sadism? Can you write that more clearly? Because I really don't know what you're saying. With dad, take care of yeah. Lee. Yep. And a good way to spot a narcissist is by setting a grounding exercise to see what a core values are that ground them, to see what they don't have, see that they don't have a core neuron cortex built into their nerves, to put built of nerves response. Don't know what you're saying there, but yeah, I don't know what you're saying there. I'll check you later. Bye, Bones. See you on Sunday, maybe, or in the comments. Love having you here. Bob, my narc ex ended up being married and engaged and had 3 wide relationships. Blew my mind. Like, how do you even manage that? Yeah. And narcissists are addicted to relationships and like they need you as supply. I mean, really, you are the life force and they're just going to drain and drain and drain you. So one relationship is not going to do it. They need multiple sources of supply that are in relationships. And it is a true addiction for them. Most people have like a lot of narcissists have what's basically called like sex and love addiction. And it is that it's never really about sex, or it's definitely not about like real love, but they do this whole love bombing stage again and again and again, and then they'll cycle with the other person in the other relationship. It's super sad. Is there a link? All my information it's actually in the description, and then it's also at the top of my page. If you're looking for a link about everything related to me is in the description and in my channel. Lee, yep, neurological trigger that a psychopath can have. You removed their social ability and he can become antisocial. I was just trying to reassure your point respectfully. Yeah, I mean, like there are psychopaths that can kill and without any empathy, but most of them understand like the rules of the world and they understand relationships. That's why a lot of them that are married think that, and they can marry difficult people because they don't care. They don't get triggered in the same way. So yes, like technically a psychopath can kill someone without caring, but I'm just telling you, it's more the sociopaths that like they get pleasure out of it. But like psychopaths like can also have experiences like based in trauma and then just not care also and be like, okay, I'll do that because I really do not have any feeling about human life or anything that would typically emotionally trigger people. Hi, Fresh. How are you? Return of the Source. Can you cover a bit on the manipulation tactics of... I just did that. Go rewind this or start at the beginning. I just went over manipulation tactics of narcissists and sociopaths. Do sociopaths make great presidents? Not particularly. No, there's been no evidence about that. I think narcissists do because like remember, people vote with their heart. Most people do not vote logically. So we vote with whatever image, whatever we resonate with, whatever we feel is most inspiring. So narcissists are really good at being charming and charismatic and drawing you in and get you on. We're a team. So the narcissistic stuff, definitely, and not just with presidents, like leaders, like even cult leaders, they're often narcissistic and sociopathic. I would like to think by sociopathy, that form of psychopath is now a sociopath, and that didn't have the pull to pull. Okay. Darren, Thank you, Darren. Bob, that positive reframe, you're right. I probably won't be where I'm at now without toxic relationships. They're our greatest teachers. First of all, every relationship is a teacher, but the really intense ones are, really, it's an opportunity to just really skyrocket you really fast into a new level of consciousness. Now, those loving relationships, those are great too, and we need those that's like our support system and everything, but every relationship is a mirror. And so when we're self-aware and we want to evolve, they can be the best thing that ever happened to you. Lee, we welcome productive discussion, but agreed, always a chance to learn. 100%. Bob says, please stay on topic. I'm not sure what you're trying to say with that. I don't know either. I just stopped reading it. Martin Love, LOL, that made you uncomfortable? I don't. Jewel, coming from Effexor as a man, coming off Effexor as a man, watch the most impactful decision in my adult life. Watch out. You feel everything. Yeah. And give it some time. Give it some time, Jewel, because your nervous system will balance out. I promise. Just give it some time. I'm so glad you are getting off Effexor. Effexor is a mood stabilizer, yes. I'm pretty sure I was on that years ago. Wasn't a fan. Yeah. Just be observant. Be grateful that your nervous system and everything is coming back online. I'm really glad that you're detoxing your body from the Effexor. Jewel, men don't necessarily vote with their heart. Some not strong men, Trump men don't. I think people, I don't know. A lot of people do. Let me turn this off. Bloop. Let's see. Bob, I wish more people voted logically. Me too, Bob. Me over here, a fence-sitting centralist voting on policy. I know. Can you imagine? Me too, Bob. Isn't that crazy? I feel like people that actually vote, like I sit down and research things and I don't identify with any, like I vote on the issue. I don't know. I feel like we should be rewarded. I feel like we should have we should all get to live in our own country. Like, let's just make California that place and then everyone else can go that does that. And then we can just all I don't know. I just feel like we should be rewarded for actually voting with, by what the policies are actually about. I swear there's maybe 3,000 of us in America that do that. Image. Knowing love bombing is an instrument used to manipulate victims. Saying we all deserve to be loved is not the same as saying we all deserve to be a victim. No? And if you're new here, I don't believe in I never use the word victim. It really, unless I'm talking about a child or it's elder abuse, we make decisions, and I'll speak for myself. I've been in very toxic relationships that were very emotionally abusive and everything. And I allowed myself to be treated certain ways. I didn't walk out the first time, but I was on my spiritual evolution and learning things, but I wasn't a victim of it. No one held me in that relationship against my will to be you need to stay in this relationship. Someone has a gun to your head. No one did that to me. And so I'm not I think a victim is when something is against your will, when you don't have the power, when you're a child or you're incapacitated in some type of way, elder abuse. So yeah, we don't use the word victim up in here. Love bombing and healthy, secure love are different things. Yes, they are. So they are completely different things. Love bombing, there's nothing loving about love bombing. Love bombing and what's called the idealization phase in psychology, same thing, is a manipulation tactic. And it's the opposite of love because it's completely inauthentic. It's someone not showing up for themselves under the guise of love. Like, I love you. I love everything about you. No, they don't. They're just drawing you in a supply. It's literally the opposite of love. Yes, please be appropriate and stay on topic and speak cohesively. Sometimes I feel like when people comment like this, they're just on drugs. So I just stop reading it. Yeah, I hate the team dynamics that America has going on right now. I don't know what color the party is. Just go do good stuff. Exactly. And then, the whole right wing and left wing, it's the same fucking bird. Okay. And it's all, I think the bird is evil. I don't care what like wing you're on. And I feel like, I know that like if you are identified, and this could be politically, it could be religiously, what does that do when you over identify something? It makes your world really small, and it's a way to manipulate and control your behavior and thoughts. So you could only think this way if you're a Republican or a Democrat or Mormon or Lutheran or whatever it is, or Black or Mexican. Like, think about that. If you would just think about how fucking stupid that sounds, and how it is a way to brainwash you, to have that group think that if you're going to be in this community, then you can't do that. Otherwise, you don't belong. And what does that do? That triggers all of your abandonment stuff, and it makes your nervous system go on 10. So you're like, oh yeah, I think this way. I'll be this way. Even in communities that are like the LGBTQ, it's like, I've noticed that even in those communities, like, oh, well, you can't think this way if you're not blah, blah. Like, not every LGBTQI like person wants to use fucking pronouns. Like, they don't need to. And so, but if you don't, I've noticed that with how some people in that particular community like treat each other. And it's like, it's a form of bullying. And I've said this about lesbians bullying me. Especially when I had this certain internship, they were like, you are placating, or like whatever, I can't even remember, you are submitting to the male patriarchy and everything by dressing like this and having long hair. And I'm like, bitch, you are dressed like a boy. You are dressed like a boy to signal to other women that you like women. I am signaling to men that I am a feminine woman and I like men. Okay, so we're both doing the thing. We're both in the patriarchal, if that's what you want to call it. Okay, like, I never understood, it's just a form of, but it comes up in these subtle ways, or seemingly subtle ways, when you over-identify with a group. And then it makes you angry and not understand things, and it makes you judge people, and it makes you be in a fear-based state where you're judging other people and everything. Oh, and by the way, those lesbians that were saying that, this was at my internship, we had to do certain things, like we would go out and, go to happy hour and stuff. They would get drunk and hit on me. Oh, really? I thought you didn't like my appearance. I thought you were judging it. Anyway, stuff like that, really. And like, just be consistent and just like think about it. Whenever something triggers you, your triggers are your teachers. So if something's triggering you, look at it. Why is this triggering me? Why do I care? Like, what is it? Instead of like just going off on the other person or immediately judging them, why are you triggered by this? Honestly, think about it. I hate the team. Oh yeah, I read that one. James, I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. Exactly. She was an angel in disguise. I am a better yeah, that's what I'm talking about, James. Like, now you're a better version of yourself because you've healed in that way. You've learned from the experience instead of repeating it. That is one of my biggest things in creating my content, is that I want you guys to take that experience as like an opportunity to heal, get closer to God, and understand, elevate every part of your life. You're not a victim. It's just there to elevate you. Bob, right? What happened to agree with yeah, you can agree to disagree. Like, why exactly? Damn straight, James. Exactly, James. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. If you have any other questions, let me know. I'm going to wrap up soon because it's late where Bob is. It's 7 for me, but it's 8, 9, it's 10 for you. Thank you, Bob, again for being here. Oh, wait, I didn't see Jabbar. That said, I did not break a heart of an ex-girlfriend, unfortunately, who I felt was mistreating me, though asking her to be friends after it wasn't working out. Don't be friends with your exes, especially right after. There's no such thing. That's you not being able to digest the closure. Don't be friends with your exes. I mean, maybe like years and years, but if you're in a relationship, the person that you're dating is probably not going to like that. It's not like a really healthy boundary to have. Don't be friends with them. See, got to go to bed soon. Okay. Thank you so much, Bob, for keeping these streets clean and holding it down for us. And then also for your wonderful feedback and commentary. And to all of you guys, excellent questions. And again, just in general, but especially today, especially as you're falling asleep, whatever you want in terms of money, prosperity, consciousness, imagine that you have it, or like resources that you want, imagine that you have it all. And it's just continuous resource. There's always enough to pay for everything and all the things that you want. And you have it all consistently all the time with ease and joy. Okay. You have your mind and nervous system are that powerful. They just don't want you to know. Okay. But it is. And so let's just, from now until Sunday, let's just really saturate our mind in all of that prosperity consciousness and how easy it is to have all the resources, all the money, everything that we want. Okay. And if you're into astrology, I explained why, because of the Jupiter, Cazimi, and Lionsgate. It's just, I could feel it. I'm like super intuitive and empathic, and I could feel that energy. And I want that for you guys. I'm friends with one of my exes, but we only dated for like 3 months. So okay. Well, you just have to really be, if there's good boundaries, it could get murky really fast. Bob says, glad to help. Pleasure as always. Thank you, Bob. Return to the source. You exude marvelous energy. Thank you. Sending out the vibes to you guys. Luke, can you still friends with your ex but stick to the boundaries, help him or her? Yeah, I mean, if you're not dating anyone or married, you just have to be careful with that. Like if I was dating someone and they were helping their ex, I'd be like, go have fun with that. I don't, unless you have children with an ex, I don't really feel like there's a reason to talk to an ex. I just don't really, I haven't seen it go well. Because sometimes the ex just is like waiting. I mean, every situation's different, but if it's really like the relationship wasn't that serious and you just really want to be friends, but just be cautious. Okay, I'm going to wrap up, you guys. Wonderful live stream. Love you guys so much. Sending out the good vibes. You're welcome, Jabbar. I don't know why you might be commenting on the other, because, okay, yeah, I got it. You are welcome, Jabbar. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, okay, I answered all of that. So thank you guys. I love you. I will see you Sunday. And or in the comment section. Yeah, great questions and commentary tonight. Yeah, it is. We're like sophisticated up in here, okay? We have like good, classy, elevated conversation. Why? Because we are becoming the best version of ourselves all the time. I used to say highest and best version, meaning like high frequency, and then people kept saying, so you want me to smoke some weed? And I'm like, I don't know. But so we're becoming the most evolved version of ourselves constantly. The healthiest, wealthiest, most evolved, most high vibrating version of ourselves constantly. That is what's happening up in here. Love you guys. Lauren, you're not. Anyway, so I love you guys, and I will see you soon. See you on Sunday. Night, night.